here comes another one of those challenges, right? This is Trinity Radio 10 questions for atheists. Uh-oh. So let's see if we can answer these things. Hopefully I got this mix set up kind of okay. Trying, thanks to Simon Larkin, I'm trying some new stuff with OBS. And I may end up getting back all my loopback channels on my RME, but I'm not 1,000% sure about that right now, so I will figure that out. So, without further ado, let me just start this up. And sorry, I got 2 bands practicing right now, so sue me.
And when atheists and Christians come up with lists of questions that they don't think the other side can answer, those questions usually aren't genuine. I've never made a list like that, although I've responded to some. Here, I hope my atheist interlocutors will consider these questions deeply without giving glib answers. These aren't meant to be gotcha questions, though I'm not asking for no reason.
I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night, so lots of times when you hear all these disclaimer stuff, it's like, I'm not racist, but... So yeah, no gotchas, sincere. We're already off to a, who knows? Maybe I'm just getting too cynical after all these times.
I expect you will have answers, and I want to hear what the most sincere among you have to say. With that, here are my 10 questions for atheists. What facts about reality that you and I agree are real facts about the way the world is does your worldview account for, but my Christianity doesn't account for, or at least doesn't account for well? And
that's 2 different questions. Whenever you got a magic super sky fairy or whatever, you can just say everything is that. You say, why is the sky blue? God did it. Why is the dirt brown? God did it. Why are we alive? God did it. So every single thing can be, I don't know about explained, but answered with, what is the reason for this thing? My sky monster, my God, my whatever. As long as you can pull up magic, man, that explains. I don't like the word explain for this, but that answers everything. But answers well. It doesn't. Well, for one thing, it definitely doesn't point to a specific one, right? This could be any sky monster that is like, what is Dillahunt always says, the universe creating pixies or whatever. It could be anything, but at the same time, it doesn't really tell you too much. And then you get that infinite regress thing where did that thing come from? So what explains that thing? And then they'll say, oh, but it's an uncaused first cause or whatever. But
And for those of you that would point out atheism isn't a worldview, I'm talking about your worldview that includes atheism. I can't think of any. Christianity accounts for evil, suffering, the existence of other religions, including...
Christianity does account for evil. It says so right there in the good old Bible. I don't know where you want to go from there.
Being supernatural events in those other religions, science, and differences among different denominations of Christianity. And including supernatural. Christianity accounts for evil, suffering, the existence of other religions, including supernatural events in those other religions, science, and differences among different denominations of Christianity. But I can think of many things that the most common worldviews that include atheism don't answer as well as I think Christianity does. Like universal supernatural claims, universal religious experience.
Wait. Bring me a single... Wait, what do you mean by that? Do you mean the existence of people claiming stuff? Our worldview explains that just fine. People claim stuff. So what? That's nothing. Or do you mean that you actually have some supernatural stuff and you believe it's true? Go ahead, bring me the evidence for that and let's see about explaining that. I don't believe you have any. Or you'd probably say it right here. You can tell me the Shroud of Turin or something? Okay, what was the other thing you just said?
I think Christianity does. Like universal supernatural claims, universal religious experiences, free will, morality.
Whoa. Do we want to go down that? Okay, first of all, universal religious experiences, well, there you go. you could have two religions that are completely diametrically opposed, where one could be true, or the other one could be true, or they could both be false. But there's no way that both could be true, and both of them have a religious experience. My worldview explains that perfectly. Yours, I guess you could say the devil made one and Jesus made the other one. Do we want to go down the morality rabbit hole for real? You got a guy that has a slavery manual, and your account for morality is, if God says it, then it's moral. It's just might makes right. That's all it is you don't have objective morals any more than anybody else does. It's whatever your God says is morals. That's not objective. That's subjective to what he feels like that day. So, murdering every single living thing on the planet except for a family of the drunk, that's moral. Slavery, according to you, is moral. Substitutionary atonement, according to you, is moral. So let's not even go down the morality rabbit hole. That would be ridiculous.
Near-death experiences.
Near-death experiences. Come on, man. I think, okay, when somebody brings up near-death experiences, then you're like, okay, I think this guy's just making stuff up. Like, he's just a troll. Like, is this guy actually like an atheist and he's just trying to make Christians look bad? Because you're not going to bring up near-death experience. It's just ridiculous. We know exactly what causes that. Get out of here.
Beauty, the rapid expansion of the early church, the events...
This is like the Gish Gallop of dipshittery right here. Like, the early expansion of the church. So what? Religions expand. Look how fast Islam expanded. Look how fast Mormonism expanded. Holy crap, man. That's brand new, and that stuff exploded. Look how fast Scientology exploded.
Surrounding the life and death of Jesus of Nazareth.
Prove Jesus ever existed. Prove that anything in those Gospels is true about Jesus at all. Prove that he came from Nazareth. I think, isn't it that it really was like a Nats, what do you call it, a Nazarene or whatever? That's really what it was. They just didn't understand. Nazareth wasn't. People are saying Nazareth wasn't occupied at the time. Might have been, but we got no evidence that any of that stuff is true. And if you're going to tell me that a book that seriously purports that a talking snake told people to eat magical fruit, and that's your evidence, this book of magical snakes and donkeys and magical fruit is your evidence for these claims, then get the hell out of here. Bring some real evidence.
And our shared longing for purpose and meaning.
That is some subjective malarkey. Okay, this guy was talking like he's going to be all like sincere and stuff at the beginning, and he's just putting out a Gish Gallop right here.
So what is it that Christianity doesn't answer as well as your worldview?
Well, for one thing, let's talk about antibiotics. Like, where was that in the Bible? Why is it that when we start to shake off the magical sky monsters and begin with the secular society, including a nation that was founded on a secular document, all of a sudden we got computers and we fly to the moon and stuff? Like they say, science flies you to the moon, religion flies you into buildings. What did you get for those 2,000 years? You got Jack. What did you get before that? Jack. It all comes from us. If the book would have had anything useful in it, what did you get from there? Oh man, this is just nonsense. Okay, let's look at number 2.
If your definition of atheism is merely that it's a lack of belief in God and you're just waiting to be convinced, but then you speak of him as though he's in some way synonymous with Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, or fairies, doesn't that at least send the message to your listeners that you actually believe that there is no God?
No, what difference does that even make? What in the world? And so what? I don't believe, but that doesn't mean that means I don't believe. Who cares? What is this? Some kind of tone troll? Like, see, you SJW nut jobs always get mad at me, but I'll tell you, the original identity politics were these meatheads. And when you SJWs go around and pull up all this crap, it's exactly the same thing these religious nuts did not so long ago. And in fact, so many of you were involved in the early debates. So you know what you're doing, and you're just copying the tactics of these people you claim to be against. So this nonsense, like, feels over reals, like I said, these guys were the original. These were original victim complex right here.
After all, these are entities and beings that you likely believe do not exist.
Right.
And if your response is that you merely lack a belief in Santa Claus and don't actively believe that he does not exist, doesn't that sound a little disingenuous, honestly?
No, not really. Like, what the hell is the point of that? And so what? I mean, here we go. Let's talk about it. I got this pen right here. Hopefully the thing doesn't go. If I let go of this pen, look at that, it fell. I can predict that every time. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about reality. What is your magical fruit thing?
When atheism becomes a part of someone's worldview, they typically change their positions on other issues like abortion, sexual morality, and a number of other things. I actually have several videos of well-known atheists saying that there's nothing wrong with prostitution, that they hope their children...
You mean like the temple prostitutes in the... I hope you don't read your Old Testament.
Don't save themselves until marriage, and that sex workers should be put up on a pedestal no different than the military. I didn't use those here because I didn't want to seem combative to...
You didn't use those here, but you just did.
To individuals, specifically the individuals who made those statements. But even if you didn't become an atheist just so you could sin...
So this guy pretends like he's going to be all sincere. He's pulling out all these old canards from the 90s like, you're only an atheist because you want to sin. No, dummy. If you really believed that there is like this magical sky monster and he's made this crazy pit for you to burn in for all eternity, like you could never die, you're just completely going to suffer forever, I don't care how much you want to sin. You're not gonna mess around, man. If you believe that crap, you're gonna do it. And if I'm gonna call you out, Mr. Trinity Radio, if you really believe the crap that you said, people are gonna get mad at me for this, but you're in a death cult. Your best bet is to be dead before you get a chance to sin. When those crazy people murder their children so that they won't sin, in your worldview, those are heroes. So, like, when people get mad at me when I say that these religious people are dangerous, it's because that it's true. You guys are, like, if you really believed what you say you believe, you'd get all you and your friends together in a room, and one of you guys would kill everybody, and then you would go ask somehow to get absolved of your sins and accidentally fall off a cliff or something. You want to be dead. That's what the hell is the purpose? The only thing you can happen in this life after you're saved or whatever is for you to sin and risk hell. Nothing is as dangerous as hell. So you would kill your kids the second they came out of the womb. You guys, you guys want to complain about abortion? You'd be going over to those Planned Parenthoods and thanking them because they're launching all these little embryos to heaven. See, I don't believe you. I don't believe you believe what you believe. There's no reason for you to stay alive on this earth because you're just gonna chance sinning. The most you could hope for, like, okay, do you want to see reality? Allegedly, all these original early days Christians, they couldn't stop martyring themselves. They kept throwing themselves to the lions. They kept trying to get martyred by the Romans. Because they knew what the theology said if you're alive, the flesh is weak, you risk going to hell. Why the hell would you risk going to hell? You want to die as quickly as you possibly can. And I'll say it, I know people are going to think I'm terrible for saying this, but I'm just going along with the logic of this particular theology. When you have your kid, you get them baptized, you cut their head off. That's what you're saying. You can't tell me that if you really believe that eternity, your child that you have, your child has a chance of suffering for eternity, forever, never to end, just to constantly be in pain for infinity years, forever. It never, ever ends. You're going to tell me that you wouldn't, as a loving parent, do anything you could to make sure that didn't happen? See, I don't believe you believe what you say you believe. I don't believe it. So let's go on from here.
And I believe you. Do you at least understand why those moves could send that message to people who might say that to you?
Wait, let's see.
So you could sin, and I believe you. Even if you didn't become an atheist just so you could sin, and I believe you. Do you at least understand why those moves could send that message to people who might say that to you?
Why do I care what message it sends? This is seriously some SJW crap. You guys really were. Like I say, you guys were the first SJWs. This is all feels over reals. Religion is dumb.
If it's a lack of belief sort of atheism, what is it? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 75-25?
Tell me the God and I'll tell you how much percent I believe in.
And at what point do you feel disingenuous saying that you merely lack a belief?
Is that feel again? Are we going back to feel again, Mr. SJW? I bet you this guy complains about SJWs more than I do. But he is one, so.
As opposed to leaning towards, I believe that God does not exist.
Is that even a question? Is there a question in there? Hold on, let me play that again.
Do you at least didn't be to no different themselves as saying morality and a number of other things to two workers? Because I didn't want to, but even if, do you at least
Sorry.
If it's a lack of belief sort of atheism, what is it? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 75-25? And at what point do you feel disingenuous saying that you merely lack a belief as opposed to leaning towards, I believe that God does not exist?
Yeah.
Now, I know we've all got our talking points, but I want you to struggle to be as sincere with yourself as you can right now.
Yeah, accusing me of dishonesty again. You know, look who's talking, dude. Come on. Now this is starting to get...
Doesn't it bother you a little bit that when we come to talk about the origins of the universe, and if there's a multiverse, the origin of that too, that the only real options you've got besides God is a past infinite universe, which is impossible, or the universe coming to exist uncaused out of nothing, or something far less clear than even those? It seems...
Okay. There's not a nothing. Let's not even... Do we even have to get into the nothing thing? An infinite regress, I guess. I mean, but what is... You're not dodging this one. If you got your God caused it, which doesn't really tell us anything. You're just saying, magic did it. What caused that magic? Oh, it's an uncaused cause. Why? That's special pleading. So, you know what? Sometimes the best answer for a question, especially if it's true, is I don't know. And I don't know. And guess what? You don't either. So
it seems that for any worldview that includes atheism, there's a massive blind spot when it comes to the origin of the universe.
For any worldview that includes God, there's a massive blind spot when it comes to what created God. Look at this look on his face.
And all the attempts to try and circumvent that problem seem desperate.
And all the attempts to try and circumvent that problem seem desperate, like, here's an uncaused cause.
And at least far less likely than theism.
And at least far less likely than the great magical Easter bunny.
The question isn't just what do you typically say about this, because I'm well aware of the responses. My question is simply this. When you step away from the debate mode that it's so easy for us all to get into online, doesn't this issue destabilize you a little bit?
When you step away from the debate mode, doesn't the issue of what caused God destabilize you a little bit?
It seems to fit really poorly with any worldview that includes atheism.
It seems to fit really poorly with any worldview that includes God. That was pathetic. Okay, let's hope for a better one here.
Of the arguments for God's existence, is there one that to you seems more interesting than the rest?
Yes.
Is there...
Arthur C. Clarke had like some kind of intelligent something that created at the end of Rendezvous with Rama or whatever those books were. I mean, it's weird. Why is there something? Why is there what? There's such deep questions that I can't even ask them. I can't even think of how to ask them. So, maybe something made something, but you don't know what it is just because some guy told you about a book of a talking snake. I'm a herpetologist, man. I love reptiles. I wish I'd have a talking reptile, but they don't talk.
Or one that for you actually does weigh in favor of theism? Which one?
I don't think there's really a one that I've heard. I just like to know. But even if I knew where this universe came from, I'd want to know why there's a why. Why is there a this? Why? Man, it's really deep. Like, I don't even want to think about stuff. It hurts my head.
Most atheists I've met humbly admit that they don't think they can have absolute certainty about much of it.
Yeah, because we're not nut jobs that claim to have absolute certainty about stuff.
Anything. But what they want from the Christian is a demonstration that God exists.
No. Wow, that is some bait and switch. Listen, we're not absolutely sure of something. I'm more sure of things that have evidence for them. You've presented no evidence, so maybe you're going to present evidence here.
Anything. But what they want from the Christian is a demonstration that God exists.
Yes.
Or that Christianity is true.
Yes.
Well, when we offer the reasons to believe that we do have,
Like
those
what?
are typically deemed not good enough.
Like what?
So
Name one.
what sort of evidence, if any, would be enough to convince you?
Evidence. Any evidence. Give me some evidence that any of this stuff is true. Give me any. Show me a talking snake. Show me magical fruit. Pine Creek always holds up that wet book of matches and says, light this on fire. With my luck, man, something would just light on fire, so I ain't gonna pull that one.
Do you know? And since it's often a conversation stopper, let's take experimental reproducibility off the table.
Oh, yeah, let's take the one thing that would guarantee, we'd believe you. And wait, are you saying your God couldn't do this after creating the whole universe and stuff? Come on.
Since that's not even always necessary for science.
Is that true?
To what extent did social and moral issues start you down the path toward your atheism? That is to say, the typical Christian or religious views on sexuality, gender, rights, and acts and commands of God in the Old Testament. It seems that many deconversion stories online begin with, or at least include, LGBT issues, purity culture, or hell as instrumental in the deconversion.
Well, I'll tell you what. The claim that there's an all-loving God, and then you actually read what all that stuff says, that would make you stop believing that that's an all-loving God. But if you believe in that God, you believe in that God. Like I was saying earlier, if you believe in this stuff, I don't care what you think of the rules or the morals. You don't have to like it, but you're not gonna go against this. You want to spend eternity in hell? Are you kidding me? This is a straw man.
Process. It strikes me that what should matter most is the truth and not what we might prefer that the truth were.
Oh, no,
I honestly
totally
wonder
agree.
how much those issues and ones like them motivate the deconversion rather than all this talk about evidence.
I don't think at all. Like, here you are, now you're being an SJW again, man. Like, who cares what you got to be kidding me. Like, let's say you don't like the color of a tank. You think it should be red instead of green. It's gonna run you over. Are you gonna stand there and say, well, it's green, so I hate it, so it can just run me over? I mean, this doesn't make any sense. I don't care if you hate the rules or not. You're not gonna get run over by them. It's dumb.
Can you name the last 3 academic books you read by theists on the subject? How long?
Can you name the last 3 books written by communications majors or gender studies specialists, or why? Why do I have to read religious gobbledygook? And the fact that you called it academic books, I refuse to believe. Depends how you define academic, but man, I wouldn't even call it that. What are you saying? Like, who cares? Like, what? If you guys had evidence, you'd bring it. You don't need me to go and read a book. That's like argument, go read a book again. That's nonsense. You got evidence, bring your evidence.
How long ago did you read them? Or is most of your understanding of apologetics and atheism from non-scholarly internet sources, pop-level books, and...
Well, then why don't you present some of this stuff? I don't see you presenting it. I see you presenting nonsense. you only sin because you only don't believe in God because you want to sin. That's your level. What if you got something better than that, you'd bring it. So don't go talking about some book. That's just some gaslighting crap.
Let's face it, YouTube videos.
Oh no,
And be
not
honest with
YouTube
yourself
videos.
about this. Anyone can Google up a list of books and paste them in the comments section. But I want to know, are you getting the best from the other side?
Well, if you had any better, you'd be presenting it. So I don't believe you. I'm getting the best from the other side. Wasting my precious time reading, responding to this kind of crap, but wasting my precious time reading academic books from meatheads? No, thank you. If you had some evidence, you'd bring it. You don't need me to go read a book.
Let's finish with a pretty common one. If you found out today, to your satisfaction, that Christianity were true, would you accept God's authority, repent of your sins, and trust Jesus as your king?
Of course. Like, I'm not stupid. I mean, if the alternative is to be tortured forever and ever and ever, you're gonna take it. You don't have to like it. I mean, you're not. If you could, man, this is so ridiculous. You're pulling, like Jeff Dees used to say, oh, here comes the threats. But yeah, no, I mean, I'll accept reality. There's nothing. We're the ones who accept reality. You're the ones who dodge it. Okay, this was silly. I thought this was going to be a little bit better because he started out with, this is going to be sincere, and it's not really one of those gotcha ones, but it really was. It was just nonsense. Who knows? Maybe